Welcome back, Powerful Mind. How are you guys doing today? We've missed you so much since last time. We are back and we are better than ever, baby. And today we are here with someone who just is literally just watch the episode because you're going to learn so much. Today we're here with
Ella. Hi, y'all.
And my name's Amaya and we're going to run the intro now. Powerful Mind. Do you see all these questions, girl?
Yes, girl. I am so excited. Hell yeah.
I'm so excited too. Just because, guys, I literally have said that she was already on my list of people to ask, especially because I really it's really hard to find women who are in the field, who you know what I'm saying, or on that level to really talk, to you about and have intelligent conversations about how, what entails to be a woman 100%. In this field. So you were definitely on my list because I was I need to get some of that in here. Because I tend to it's just there's a lot of men who do what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or, who are just in the industry. So.
We're overrun.
Yeah.
We're overrun 100%.
100%. So hopefully, one of my goals too is to be able to have you just really pick your brain. Because I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for me personally.
Yeah, girl.
So
let's get into it.
We're gonna pick everything. So first and foremost, I kind of want you to just say what you do, just kind of capsize what you do, and then we're gonna dive deeper into everything.
So my name's Ella Estrella. I do social media management. I've been doing a lot of social media strategy for the past 8+ years. And then just recently I started getting into doing social media, not so much for solo creators, but for big companies and a lot of companies in the cannabis industry. Nice. So I think that it's been a whole different ball game. I've been learning so much, and I like to say that I'm an avid crash courser. I have crash coursed my way through everything. I didn't go to school for social media or marketing or anything. My degree is actually in interior design. Oh, so wow. I just don't use her. But you need to have an eye. Period. So doing a lot of social media for bigger companies and stuff. And then I've been recently trying to dabble into the PR world, entertainment, doing PR events and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the gist of what I got going on in marketing, at least. I got my hands in multiple cookie jars. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and then so also kind of tell why, especially nowadays, why is that social media influencer management important nowadays? Yeah,
I think that a lot of companies, I should say, are understanding that using influencers or using UGC creators are definitely going to boost your brand. And why? Because people want to see real people. People don't want to watch advertisements anymore. Even when commercials were on TV, we were skipping them, right? We were recording it on the DVR so that we could skip through everything and get to the show. Yeah. So now I think that with the huge influx of social media, that people are just why not? It's also cheaper for brands. It's cheaper to do UGC rather than have a huge production with commercial, actors, props, setting, everything. So I think that's why people do that. And honestly, I think it's great for the content creator, social media economy, is that it gives jobs to people who now are able to earn their entire income. It's insane.
Yeah.
So I think that's why is that, people don't want to be the commercial TV, to skip through. They want to have real people. You want to see real people using your products, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to buy Starbucks because it's a beautiful drink. I want to buy it because my favorite influencer drinks it too,
Right.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then so I was also curious too as to how you even got into the space, in general, for the mindset, so you went to college and you got your degree, and then what kind of happened afterwards that led you into, which I can imagine was an evolution type of thing, kind of change,
for sure.
Like you said, you were interior design first. So what would that journey kind of look like for you when you're okay, actually I kind of want to do the influencer social media management thing, and when was that switch for you to be oh, I can make this a business. Like could be my job.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I started off in 2017 working for a multi-level marketing company. It was hair care and skincare, and I was I was 18 years old at that point, and I was like just your typical Gen Zer. I didn't want to have a boss. I had been working retail and like service my entire life, so I was like, I want to be a boss babe. I want to be my own boss. So of course, as social media started, beginning to hit and people started understanding they could make money off of social media, I had a girlfriend who reached out to me and was like, you would be great at this. So
really?
I ended up doing that, and I was actually pretty successful at it. It was great because I think that was my college. That is how I learned how to do marketing and social media, because I had to market myself, for those companies, which I think is you can have your own opinions on them. I think, we all have our own opinions about MLMs, but the one thing that I will say that really helped me was I didn't have to go to college. I was able to learn from women who were making thousands of dollars, like double digits a month, and so I got to learn how to use Canva and all of like those little tools, editing my photos. And that was really the beginning of me learning that, I was selling hair care and skincare, but it was just the whole like, damn, it's so easy to be able to open your camera up to your life. And again, people, it's not the product that sells, it's the story, right? And people want to, again, like I said, they want to feel like they're relating to you. So that's kind of how I got into that, little path. And at the end of my journey there, I was running a team of, 100 plus girls, doing sales calls with them because it was a lot of sales oriented. So it was very fast paced environment, very like, you had to be like on your shit. So that's kind of how that started. And then after, my journey ended with that, I was like, okay, what do I do now? Went back into retail, tried to kind of flow, and I was like, this is just not it. Like, I think I was good at that. And so that's what kind of got me onto, I was really just hitting up my warm market. I was hitting up my mom. That was my first, she was my first client. Shout out, mommy, love you. Still my client. And her friends, little small businesses around the island, because I was still living in Hawaii at the time. So, I was really that's just like, dope. And I think that it was actually a blessing because your warm market being from an island or like a small town is like huge, right? Because like people really trust you. Like these are people, aunties who I've grown up with. So
is like very,
so I feel blessed that I was able to, kind of get my foot in the door that way. And then other that, it was just self-marketing, which is hard. That's the hardest part, and the consistency. Really so that's kind of what led me to where I am today. And, honestly, if you asked me when I was doing the MLM, if I was going to be here now, I'd be like, you're wild. Like, I think I'm just going to be great at selling hair care. But, here we are. So
exactly. And then so kind of like elaborate a little bit on when you first were going into your clients, what were you saying? Like you were going to manage your social media? And so kind of give like a little, for like people who do want to start doing that and who do want to offer those services, what are like some tips about how to approach like a small business when you're new, at starting out to help with the social media and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I may be dying on a hill alone saying this, but I think that it's important to really showcase your talent and your gifts before you start asking for money. So that's why I think that reaching out to people who are in your hot market, like, can I swear on here?
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck a warm market, but like your hot market, like your parents, your family, people who, if you were selling dirt, they would buy it from you, right? And I think that that's really how you got to start out, and just let people know, right? Like I'm a big planner, almost to a fault. I get very OCD with planning. Really? I love things to be to a T. And I think that it's very important to stay organized, especially as a business owner, as a, private contractor, freelancer, whatever the case is. You got to make sure that you have not only like your rates and stuff, but exactly what you're giving. So like, for example, social media management, but like, what are the sub items to that, right? What am I managing?
Exactly.
Content curation. Great. Awesome. You're creating content, but like, how many reels are you creating? How many static posts? How many carousels? So it ends up being a little bit bigger. And I honestly say, like, do it for a heavy discount. Do it for cheap. I think a lot of people these days are like, know your worth. Yes, but also people don't know if you're a fresh person, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. That's part of the game.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of being an entrepreneur and sometimes being the only person who believes in yourself.
Right.
But you have to show people why you deserve to get, you know, paid. So I say trials. Do trials with people, right? For the next 30, 60, 90 days, I will do XYZ. We can, and it will be, I'm not saying you have to do it for free, you know, but at very heavy discount. And then we'll come back around, we'll audit, we'll meet, we'll talk about, you know, the analytics and what I did for you. And after that, they're going to be like, if you do well, of course, you know, then I guarantee they're going to come around and be like, okay, let's talk business.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Well, you're not dying on a hill because I'm there with you.
We're there. We're at the hill together.
No, I totally agree with that because, like, even for example, like this, and also like Ish has his own business with New Era, and that's shooting like content for athletes. You know what I'm saying? And so, in order for him to get paid to do that,
I gotta hit you up. Okay, sorry. Yep, I have. Yep, I have something for you. I got you.
It's so funny. Every time we record, like no matter who's in the room, someone always ends up working with the other person.
Love it.
Always. I love it.
That's the whole point, right? Hell yeah.
Connect. That's the first thing.
You're heard here.
But so in order for him to like start getting paid to do like the mixtapes and the content and the photos and everything, he had to do it for free at first, you know, to be able to show like this is what I can do. Yeah. And then as you continue to keep doing that, what we saw was you're building a portfolio doing that too, so that you have examples to show people and be like, this is what I can do for you as well.
100%.
You know? And then that's when you're able to be like, okay, here's my price. And like you said, I think that's super important that a lot of people that I wish I knew when I first started as well is to really itemize those things. Yes. That's like so important.
Very particular.
I'm so happy you said that. Yeah. Because that's like, you got to know like, what are they paying? Because when especially when people who aren't in the industry or just aren't like chronically online and like don't really understand, they're like, okay, you're gonna manage my social media, what does that even mean?
Which a lot of clients don't, you know, a lot of clients are just like, okay, we need a social media manager, so hired. But honestly, and that may be good for the instant gratification, but when we're talking long-term relationships, like you don't want to hit it and quit it. Like you want to be indefinite with these people or until you say you're done, right? 100%. So I think that it's important, you know, even if the client isn't thinking about it, to really spell it out for them, because A, it'll build that credibility, right? Of like, okay, they know their shit. Yeah. And then B, because they don't know. So you're letting them know this is the value that I have. Yeah. This is what goes into this, because a lot of clients are just like, make it go viral. And you're like, buddy. Like, or we want to convert, and it's like, you don't want to show your face. So there's a lot of strategy that comes into it. And I think that it's important to spell that out. And then even with, you know, like, doing it for free, like there's a ton of people who will walk up streets of LA, New York, whatever, and be like, yo, let me shoot your music video. It should be like a 10 grand, 15 grand budget, but sometimes you got to do it, and maybe that shit goes viral. And then it's the referrals, right? Like, so that's another thing, is that the entertainment creative industry is all about who you know, and referrals are so important. So if you do your best work for a client, they're going to go and tell their buddy who owns a business. They're going to go and tell their buddy who has an album that they're dropping that needs a music video, right? So the referrals, are huge as well, you know, because that kind of falls under just doing your hardest and doing your best at everything, you know?
And always, also with referrals, always asking. A lot of people usually are really scared to ask, but literally, like we just said beforehand, like closed mouths do not get fed.
100%.
So like literally, you can like people you're working with be like, hey, if you ever hear somebody who needs da-da-da, let them know. Like, and referral, well, how do you feel about like referral discounts?
Here for it.
Love it, right?
Here for it. I mean, especially if I'm working for you for the first time and we're like on that work relationship that we're talking about heavily discounted, I think that should be part of your contract with them. I think that maybe, and honestly, it makes me think maybe every contract that you make should be a referral. Why not?
Right. Yeah, no, literally.
It's a Google review. It's like 2 sentences. You know what I'm saying? So like, or like sending it to a friend. So yeah, I mean, I think asking for referrals, don't ever feel bad about that, ever. Yeah. Because it's your hard work, and how else are we supposed to advance, you know?
1,000%.
So.
Yeah, and also mentioning those contracts too, like we just said, like listing out everything, the parameters, because that's something we also found too, was like when we first started out, is that like people will have an expectation in their head when they're talking to you. Mm-hmm. So if you don't like list it out, the parameters as to like, this is what I'm doing for XYZ that you're like paying me, or we're working something out.
Yeah, what's my scope?
Right.
Yeah.
Then clients can also get like this weird idea in their head, and then they're like, well, you're not doing what I had in my head, you know what I'm saying?
Trust me, been there, done that, and it's not fun, and it will always be your fault, always. So that's the thing, is I'm very anal about my SOWs with, you know,
you're saying
scope
a lot
of work.
Things, and I don't know what that means.
Okay, yeah, we out here.
But I like that because I'm learning. That's that's why I really wanted, because I know I can learn a lot from you.
Yeah, for sure. So an SOW is a scope of work. Okay. So it's essentially a contract between you and the client of, this is exactly what is expected deliverables. This is exactly what's expected of you on a 30-day basis.
Right.
Everything from, like I was saying, the type of content, how many reels, how many carousels, if we're doing any UGC content, if we're collaborating with anybody, which UGC is user-generated content, right? So that's like if Yerba Mate, sponsor me, love your drinks. If Yerba Mate was going to be like, hey, we want to send you, you know, a box, and we're going to pay you a monthly retainer, if you will, to post about Yerba Mate. So I am posting on my TikTok, my Instagram stories, whatever. Here's my code, but I'm getting paid monthly to make that content. So, so that's just like a little side acronym. But so like, really outlined in your scope. What is my scope? Because I'm not going beyond that, and I'm not going any less than that.
Right.
So it really needs to be spelt out to the T, so that the right people are held accountable for things.
Right.
And so that there's no gray area of like, well, you said that you were going to post 4 reels, or, you know, you said that you were going to get 2 collaborations each month. And it's like, well, we never got anything approved, or like it was supposed to go to you. There's like no set process or like order of operation. So that's why your scope of work, or your SOW, is so important. The client signs that, and then the manager signs that. And then that's a legal document. And if anybody goes around or above and beyond that, then legally you can take it somewhere, you know? So
100%, yeah, that's absolutely.
It's important to stay protected, you know, as a creative, because
because
people will walk all over it.
Yeah, so many people. It's just such a great area.
And
then so also just curious too, so like when someone approaches you like about strategies, so like what exactly are like some things that you specifically are like, I offer this and this, which one do you want? And then you kind of go from there, obviously.
Yeah, so I do have just like basic packages, but what I do like to do is really just stay flexible with the client.
Right, okay.
Excuse me. So
like have a discussion with them about like what strategy would work for them. Guys, I'm so sorry. There's a gnat that's like we'll get it at some point.
I thought I killed her, I guess. There was a cousin somewhere.
2. Remember, I was like, I think there's like 2.
Yeah. You know, I saw these things on TikTok that are just, anyways, these little fruit fly things, and they'll carry like 60 at a time. I'm like, somewhere in Florida. Okay, yeah. So sorry, one more time. The question.
So like when someone comes to you like and they're like, hey, I want to, you know, do XYZ, you're immediately developing them a strategy as to how to get from point A to point B.
Yeah. Okay. So I like to do what's called like a discovery call with them.
Okay.
So we hop on a call. Usually I'd like it to be face to face, just so I can see your vibe. I'll ask you everything from your target audience, your goals, if you want followers or sales, you know, because a lot of people are like, well, I want to go viral. And it's like, okay, but what do you want from that?
Right.
Do you want followers? Do you want conversions? We're always shooting for conversions. Like, I want my role to be able to pay for itself, right? So we're making money on Instagram. Your audience are your potential customers if they're not already.
Right.
So I like to hop on the call and just get all of those like basic, questions down. And then what I do is a social media audit, because from a social media audit, I'm looking at all of the channels that they want to be managed. I'm looking at everything from how is their bio? Is it optimized? Is it grabbing people in? What are their pinned posts looking like? What are their highlights looking like? Is there any call to actions on their posts or in their captions? And then I'll literally grade it. So I go in like as a teacher and I'll literally grade it. And then I give them the audit and it's like, let's say 49% out of 100. I'm like, this is where we need to fix things. And then from that, I'll kind of like build a package from that and just give them like, so our main focus is for optimization, let's say.
Right.
We need a bio. We need to do a highlight. We need to, all of your little bubbles that you show like the best parts of your business or your personality or your niche. And so that's what's going to take up the most time. And then every month it can change. Right. So I'm not over here saying like flat rate, $5,000 a month. That's all you're going to pay. It's like sometimes it's going to be more expensive in the beginning because a lot of companies that I work with,
work in the beginning, right?
Yeah, and some of them don't even have an online presence. So I have to build that up. So a build out and strategy are completely different. Okay. A build out is when I'm like going in and like creating their online presence, creating their brand voice. Like, who are you on social media?
Yeah.
So sometimes that goes into play too. So I like to just be flexible because everybody deserves what they should get, and I don't think that it should be a one size fits all. So that's kind of how I do it. It's just like, let's just talk about it, let's just figure out exactly what you need. I'm not here to like sell you on $1,000 or, I'm not here to, just take your money and just give you like the basic.
100%.
And some people are here for it. Some people are not, sometimes I have meetings with people and they're like, a social media manager for that much a month? And I'm like, okay, cool. So then this is what I can give you for your budget.
Beautiful. I'm glad you said that because I've literally, I run into that too. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to services, they're like, well, that's kind of, I'm like, okay, great. So if you're just looking for something in your budget, then like you said, this is what I can do for your budget, So that's where that self-worth comes in.
100%.
When you're like negotiating stuff like that, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And kind of like follow-up question with that is like, how do you balance like intuition and data when it comes to like your strategic strategies, like when they're evolving,
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's honestly pretty half-half. I am a whore for data. So I love seeing the truth of things and how things actually run, the engagement, what things look like, all of the like analytics and data that add up to it. But at the same time, I think that if we look too much into that, it starts to become robotic. And I think that with a human and with personality, that it's important to kind of have half-half, Sometimes the data doesn't show that this one trend is gonna blow up, but it ends up blowing up, right? So sometimes I think it is really half-half. And then a little like sprinkle of experience in there too.
True.
True.
Very
so
true.
I think sometimes we want to go off of like either what the data is saying, and then it's like, well, no, because our data is saying that it's not gonna blow up, but it's like the sound is going viral.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
We're getting ahead of it, actually.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Again, going back to your worth, that's the whole thing. Like social media manager, a lot of people are going to, especially the client, going to try and tell you like, no, we're not doing this. This doesn't align. And you have to stand your ground and say, I'm the creative here. You hired me for a reason. Yeah. We have to do it this way. And that, that comes into play with even the cannabis industry, because with the algorithm and cannabis, like they do not mix. It's like oil and water. The algorithm hates cannabis brands. Yeah. So I feel very proud that I've been able to kind of work around and find the loopholes so that cannabis brands can sell on social media without selling. But that's kind of the thing too, is like, like I just had a client who was like wanting to post about a sale. And I'm like, we cannot post sales or hard sells on Instagram because that's directly against community guidelines. And it was kind of this back and forth. And I'm like, look, I'm the social media manager. Yeah. I'm just doing my job. At the end of the day, it's your,
What do you mean post the sale?
It was just like, there's like there was a sale happening. So they wanted to post that we were having a sale. But on Instagram, you can't post like, hey, 50% off of weed, like buy it now. It has to be very,
no.
Yeah, it has to be very like, you have to jump through so many hoops.
Just like I see it all the time, like people who do post about, like weed and smoking, they always call it like gardening, stuff like that to like get around it.
Yeah.
And like everyone like, I remember the first time I saw that and I was like, what the heck? Like we're like gardening, like, which I've always wanted to do. So I was like, okay, great, gardening. And then like I watched the video a bit longer and I was like, oh, not that.
She's
gardening.
Smoking weed. Yeah. No, I love her. I forget her name, but the girl, I know who you're talking about. I think she should have trademarked that. I think she should have totally trademarked it and absolutely ran with it of like gardening girls brand and like, and now everybody uses it. So, but yeah, that's the thing. It's like no illicit keywords, no hard sales. It has to be strictly lifestyle.
And then so when it kind of comes to that, which kind of crazy because we just talked about the algorithm, because the algorithm changes all the time. Like there's consistent changes to it, and also a lot of saturation. So what right now have you found that is actually working right now with social media growth in the current state of the algorithm and everything?
Yeah, I think the algorithm loves two main things. I'll say three. Originality, right? So recently within 2025, when this new year hit, the algorithm started prioritizing original content, which as a content creator, we love, right? Because a lot of people will take your video and do the same exact shit, same exact sound, everything. Right. So that's one thing, is that original content. Now, if you get a lot of writer's block or like creative block, that gets kind of hard, right?
Right.
But that's why AI is here. We love AI.
Yeah.
But so that's one thing. Another thing I would say is using Instagram's tools. Okay. The edits, the stickers, the interactive polls, you'll actually get a lot more engagement using edits rather than CapCut.
Wow.
Which is funny because they're basically the same thing. It's just embedded within Instagram. So they start to push those videos. They start to track all of that. And then consistency. Everybody says it. And I think that there is a fine line between being consistent and having stuff going out steady, but having intention to what you're posting to, right? So those would be the three main things that I've seen with the algorithm is consistency, using in-app, in-software tools, and what was the other one? What was the first one that I said?
The original content.
Yeah, originality.
Yeah, originality. That makes sense. And then also because which is something I actually was thinking about. I was like, because I do help like other people with their like stuff as well. Not on any type of level that you do, but so that's what like made me think like, okay, I need to ask her this question.
Yeah.
I was like, when you're helping so many different people and so many different brands create, how are you staying creative and like throughout this whole process? Like, how do you find your creativity to keep having those original ideas for all these different people and all these different avenues?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it comes a lot from surfing the internet. It's funny because I've been wanting to make this reel where it's like me on a computer and my phone scrolling through TikTok, and it's like I'm not fucking around, I'm just doing my job. But that's what it is. It's constantly on social media and seeing what things may be popping up as trends. And then also having that experience to know, like, you start seeing a couple people posting things and you're like, okay, we gotta hop on this. But also to build just like raw content that nobody's done before, it does take a lot. I honestly find myself in the most creative spaces when I'm smoking. I'm smoking or I'm having a glass of wine, listening to music, and then I just start thinking about all things. It does come to a fault sometimes when I'm high because then I usually just start creating memes, but But that's kind of where I get into my flow state, you know, is kind of just like, surfing the internet, seeing what people are up to, seeing what people are doing, and
also just like allowing your brain to have that space. To
and I think that people get too caught up in like, oh, this is a trend, so I have to do it exactly like this, you know, like a get ready with me or like a fit check, right?
Yeah.
Where you're standing in front of the camera and you're like, this is from Abercrombie and Fitch, this is from Zara, right? But then I saw this girl and she does her fit checks. I don't know how she gets her phone up there, but she does it on the ceiling. She's laying on a carpet. And she's doing her fit checks like that. And it's just like originality.
That's original.
You know, and just like trying to think outside the box on like, how do I do a fit check that's different? You know, am I like are the clothes falling and then I'm jumping up, you know? So it's like cool little shit like that. I think you just got to find your mode and, you know, where your flow state hits and what, you know, if you have a vice like me and you love smoking a blunt, you know, then if that gets you into it, then so just taking that time and not like rushing through things, because once you rush, then that's where like the copycat comes from.
Yeah, that is also very true. Yeah, because I was thinking that, I was like, because sometimes even I be struggling. I'm like, dang,
girl, it's hard. It's hard. Like I was just telling you, like I batch 30 days of my personal content.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And when I'm working on so much work, so many clients, I'm up like late hours of the night, and then it comes to my own content, and I'm like,
I don't even want to do this.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I always connect it to like, you know, like hairstylists that like get your like blonde done and stuff. It's like your hair can look banging, but your hairstylist is like, girl, I haven't cut my hair. I haven't done shit to it in like months. Yeah. That's how I feel sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think that, but no, the same thing where like I'm creating 30 pieces of content. I'm like, oh no, what do I do?
Yeah.
But honestly, and it may be another hill that I'm dying on alone, AI is such a good tool.
Yes, I agree. Yes, to a certain point.
Yes.
I agree with a certain point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I use like ChatGPT all the time. You know what I'm saying? But also not to the point where it is taking the creatives' jobs. You know what I'm saying? And that's like we're not at that point yet. I hope we never actually get to that point.
Facts.
You know? So I just hope that like we have some rules and regulations on like how that goes moving forward.
Yeah. No, I love to use, I agree with you 100%. It could definitely be used as a crutch.
Like 3 of these questions came from.
No, literally. Well,
like,
and that's the thing is like it's a tool now, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have to just be you know, like what's the word? Just like boxed into our own minds, right? Because we have so many other things going on, so many other different responsibilities and shit. Mm-hmm. So if I can use ChatGPT as a tool and as an asset to me, where I'm going and creating content, or I'm going and like curating the content, like putting it all together, you know, digital art and everything.
Yeah.
Then it's creating the caption Cappy for me.
Right, exactly.
Right? So I have like, I use her more of like as an assistant. I'm not going to lie though. Sometimes you need to get the damn work done and you have an insane creative block. And I'm like, you are now my social media manager. Like I need help with X, Y, Z. At the end of the day, thankfully, ChatGPT isn't too smart yet to where there's still things that you need to, you know, like change around. And so, you know, you do make it your own. I never condone like saying that you're an expert at something, but then just using AI for it. Mm-hmm. I think that's where it gets scary, is that you truly don't know if these people know what the heck they're talking about or not, you know? So I definitely agree. It's a fine line.
Yeah.
But I say use it. It's a tool that's available to us, 100%. Like, and it's artificial intelligence.
100%.
It can go and search for things that I need access to, you know, and along social media management for clients, I do blog writing and stuff. Yeah. So that's also like something like, hey, out of these pain points for an industry that maybe I don't know a lot about of, right? I have some clients that are in like the political sector. I've never done political stuff. So I'm like, please, like, based off of this bill, I need a blog post written, you know, or at least blog topics. And if I get a blog topic, then I start thinking and I start writing all of my own words. And then I say, okay, rewrite this in the brand voice that I gave you.
Yeah.
So it does help with a lot of things. But I agree, especially with creatives and then like with this new AI art coming out, it's insane.
It's insane. Did you see that commercial that they
just
released?
The Florida one.
I was like,
that's Google Evo or something. So my creative director with the agency that I work with, Deserve, he just started using that, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's next level, super expensive right now, but like.
Yeah, but it's like, I know, and it's like great, but then also like, dang, but then also scary. Like great, but then it's also like, oh goodness gracious.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, it's true. There would be no directors, no actors, no lighting people, no sound people, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, that takes a lot of jobs. That takes the human out of creativity. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you said, it's like that teeter-totter. But I use like ChatGPT all the time because, especially for like things like Instagram captions or rewrite this for me. Like, I just need better words used here.
Like, if we're here to work smart.
Yeah, like give me some prompts for some things. And because like you said, then I'm able to just use like that prompt or just that little bit from ChatGPT and go off of that, like off of mine. I'm like, okay. And then
you start to learn. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
When I first started becoming, working with the agency that I'm with, and I started having to send like the formal emails and all of this stuff, especially with the political shit, I was like, I need help. And then eventually I start to learn, because I'm working with her. I call ChatGPT a girl. I'm working with her so much, so I start to learn, and now I don't even need her to rewrite my emails. It just comes fluently. So again, just crash coursing. Right. It's like I try and learn as much as I can, but if I need that shit, I need 60 captions popped out for the next 2 months for a client, best believe I'm putting you to work then. I told her last night, I said, you're now my newly employee. She's like, got it, boss. She talks so funny to me. She'll be like, bet.
Yeah, that's hilarious, actually.
She's great. Love her.
No, seriously, but that's I can relate to that a lot, actually, because I do the same thing. And then so for you, so you're with an agency right now that you work for? Okay.
Yeah.
And then so before that, were you just doing it completely on your own? Like you were just kind of like just doing freelancing?
Yeah, and technically, I'm a freelancer still, so I guess essentially to like break it down in the most digestive way possible, I essentially like white label my services for the agency that I'm with. Okay. So I Deserve, amazing marketing agency. They're like one of the top agencies in Tampa, work with like amazing brands. So I love them. Shy and Chadwick are the founders. They're amazing, and we keep it in the family. So Shy is BG's business partner with Siesta G as well. So
that's right.
We out here, making money moves together so we can rise up. But
absolutely.
Amazing energy. But essentially, so I'm a private contractor, so I do have the ability to be able to do work with other people and stuff.
That's awesome,
but Deserve has treated me so well, so I don't like anything to conflict that or go over. But it's essentially white labeling. So my clients are my agency's clients, and they'll give me clients that they need help on and shit, and then it's like Deserve's work, right? So so that's what I'm doing right now. But like I said, I'm trying to like dabble into like that PR world too. So
so explain that.
So I just got off, not today, but a couple weeks ago, just got off a really good call with one of my girlfriends who owns a PR agency in Tampa, or I'm sorry, LA. And so we're talking about putting Tampa on the map. And I actually brought y'all up too, because I was my girl Maya, she is with Powerful Mind. They're about to do a cypher. Like she's always trying to bring the community of like artists and rappers and music and creatives together. So we're talking about starting to do some PR events and then start to like bring in talent, to be able to go and like really shine a light on them and be able to like lift them up. Absolutely. I think that Tampa is full of creatives.
Yeah.
Like I just moved here to Tampa last year from Sarasota, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, it's
fashion designers, artists, rappers, musicians.
Fashion shows are huge in Tampa my gosh. And St. Pete.
I didn't even know.
Huge community of fashion.
I didn't even know. I'm like, we have to put Tampa on the map. So
no, 100%.
We'll talk about that too. I'm so happy to be here because I was like, we're gonna talk about so much business together.
Many things,
But so that's kind of what I'm trying to dabble into. I don't know much about the PR world, but ever since I was younger, ever since I was a little kid, I was like, I want to be famous. I want to be on American Idol because I sing or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
But I think that honestly, it was a blessing that I was able to kind of get my foot in the door with my girlfriend Becca, because I think that my calling is coming. I think that everything that I've been doing has been leading, and I believe in God, so I think that everything happens for a reason. 100%, so I think that, it's kind of dabbling into that PR, which ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be in entertainment. So
yeah,
I'm 100%. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm excited, but yeah, again, I don't know much about PR, but we're talking magazines, the Grammys, like
everything, like
big shit. So
yeah, PR is like it's funny because it's funny that you say that, because I feel like I would crush PR too, because like I just know like how to teach people how to like act right on camera. Yes. Like, like just the etiquettes, because it's also like you said, you just are like understand it, and like you have that eye, and you just have that like you know how to like do that, and like some people just like completely don't, what I'm saying, and that's okay. And it's like one of those things that like you said, you either have it or you don't. So
facts.
You would be amazing teaching people like how to like act right, talk right, but not to the point where it's like obviously that you're like taking away like who they actually are.
And I see that happen a lot.
That happens right. Like I feel like that happens.
I see like Jack Harlow, for example. I see him, and when him and Drewski first came into the picture, and they were like best bros.
Yeah, that was
and they
awesome.
were trolling
hilarious.
people, and they were so freaking funny. And Drewski's actually taking it to the next level.
Oh my gosh, she's going off.
But now I feel like the publicists and the PR people, the people on Jack Harlow's team, I'm like, what happened? Right. And I almost feel I see that a lot, where you see the real glimpse of these artists at first, and then
they just like
all of a sudden it's like too media trained. It's like too fake,
they reel it back.
And I feel like a lot of artists, especially like I want to bring my social media management into the PR. So
that's dope. Yeah.
If you're a music artist, I want to be doing PR for you, but I also want to be running your Instagram too. Right. Because a lot of artists, they're creatives, but they don't want to run their own shit. They're like, I don't know what to post. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I want to kind of help like create that image that you want for yourself, not like what the world is able to chew on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So and like that's something that I also have noticed a lot, like you said, is that like it almost like makes them bland. Like it like takes away like the human aspect of them. And that's like, to me, that's like you said, like that's not good, like that's not a good team, like PR team, to like take away like all of like who that person is, like why people even like him to begin with. Like
exactly.
Now Jack Harlow, like he just dropped something like recently with like Doja Cat.
Oh yeah.
But before that,
love Jack Harlow, but it kind of flopped. It didn't really like
do as good.
And I mean, I would, from the outside perspective, I'd blame it on his publicist and PR.
Team. It has to be, because
like,
there's no way.
There should have been pushing that way harder.
Yeah.
It was like only until the song dropped is when we knew that it was going on, or it was like 2 weeks out. So I'm just learning of all the things that I see that I'm like, okay, we don't do that. And then the things that I'm like, yes, we're definitely not reinventing that wheel. Like,
yeah, that's awesome. That's super dope. And I was also gonna kind of ask too, because this is another really cool point that that is one of your skills as well, is brand deals. Like that's like I feel like a whole thing in itself too.
Yeah, totally.
And so like kind of like talk about that a little bit. Like as someone who, let's just say, it's someone who has like their own like presence and their own like who they are on social media. It's like not obviously huge, but not like super small. It's like workable. Like you see something and you're like, okay, we could work with this.
Yeah.
How do you even approach a brand deal? Like how do you even try to get a brand deal
as a content creator?
Right.
So I would say, again, making sure that when you're reaching out to people that they have something to see, right? So I get it. Like if this is your first brand deal, you're not going to necessarily have videos or samples of stuff that you've done for other companies.
Right.
So sometimes you just buy shit, right? So like something that I recommend, like my solar creator girlies that I work with, is just like buy a lip liner. Buy something small, buy something from e.l.f. that's a reputable brand, but isn't so big that you're not going to get anywhere with them, isn't so small that they're not going to send you stuff and pay you, right? Okay, so there's that like beautiful middle ground because small businesses don't want to pay. They want to just send free product.
Right, yeah.
Which I say, don't really go for it. You know, like unless you want to just get free product, but that doesn't pay your rent.
Right.
Right.
True.
So
Very
if we're
true.
looking for the brand deals, we're looking to get paid monthly on top of not having to buy product. So again, kind of like the whole thing that we were saying of like working for like a heavy discount in the beginning. I think that it's kind of the same thing, you know, with this too, is like buy a little lip liner and then give them the sample videos, right? Because for me, at least on the client's end, because I handle the influencers for my clients. So when I look at influencers, I'm not looking at the number of followers you have. I'm looking at your engagement. I'm looking at how many people are commenting. I'm looking at how you're talking to other people. And if this seems like it could, you know, work out.
Yeah.
If this ultimately, you know, not to sound harsh, but if this is going to be worth it for us, if this is
Yeah.
going to bring us money as the client.
Yeah.
So as the creator, I say, use ChatGPT if you need to. Build out your email, your reach out, you know, of like, my name is da-da-da, my niche is in da-da-da.
Okay.
Whether that be fashion, lifestyle, cannabis, this is my niche. The followers don't really count. Depends on who you're talking to for the
Right.
brand deal, you know. Some people care about that. I don't. I honestly think that the micro influencers bring you the most engagement because they have a very loyal following.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. I'll keep going because I was that just dinged something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
yeah. I'm like, oh.
I was like,
But yeah, so I think that yes, to reiterate, so you build your reach out script, right? Send them a couple samples of like literally just find stuff around your house, right?
Yeah.
Like find a drink, pull out your favorite skincare and send them that. These are samples, right, of like UGC content that I can do. And then you kind of just wait.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's a numbers game when you're doing brand deals. As the creator, it's a numbers game. You have to keep reaching out to people, reach out. It's not like you reach out to 10 and then wait for them to bite. Reach out to 50, right? Like shoot for the moon and you'll at least, or shoot for the stars, you'll at least hit the moon, right?
Yeah,
Like that's how I think about it. So
that's fire, yeah. Because that's another thing that we always talk about too on Powerful Mind is like the worst thing anyone's ever gonna say is no.
facts,
Like, yeah.
facts.
Like, and you're just great. On to the next one. Like,
Literally,
this is
like,
it.
and a lot of people like, yeah, a lot of branding. I mean, my best friend is getting married in February, so we're doing the Bachelorette next week.
saw
So
your story.
we're doing a lot of brand deals and
Yeah.
stuff, just because us girlies, we have some followers. Like, honestly, ironically enough, like, I mean, not ironic because these girls are gorgeous, but I have the least amount of followers. But it all matters about the reach out, right? So it's like cumulatively, not me, but cumulatively, we have over 1 million views on our accounts. Boom. Like, who wouldn't want to say yes to
Right,
that?
yeah.
And yes, at the end of the day, the worst that they can say is nah. The worst actually that's going to happen is it gets seen and they don't reply. But other than that, move on. Thank you, next.
Yeah.
You know? So
100%.
there's literally thousands of brands out there.
100%. You know what's actually so funny? I had reached out to Kim about Powerful Mind, about interviewing her for Powerful Mind in the very beginning of Powerful Mind. Like,
Oh my gosh, I
before
love that.
even had like any episodes. But it was actually at the time where she was literally about to leave, like move.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
The big move, you
Yeah.
know? So like it just never worked out, you know.
I'm
mainly
actually going to
because of
have
that.
drinks with her right after
That's
this.
so funny.
I love that.
She probably doesn't even remember because she probably doesn't even remember, honestly.
Listen.
It was that long ago, like she was probably like, "Who is this girl?"
No, she's
You know?
amazing. That's my social media girly. Her and I are like,
Yeah, 'cause
and we
she's
be
like-
working together on that stuff too. You know,
Yeah, I know.
she helped me build my first UGC, you know, pitch deck with my boyfriend. You know,
fire,
both
yeah.
of our men have been on Siesta Key, so we're
Right,
like,
right.
build that deck together,
Yeah.
right? Like, so she helped me with that, and yeah, she's a beautiful person. I think you guys should definitely reach out to her again, because now they're
No,
here.
definitely. Yeah, it's just funny how it comes full circle. You know what I'm saying?
Always.
Like literally, this had to be like 2 years ago that I reached out to
Oh
her.
my gosh, I love that.
It's so wild. And then I'm
2
like,
years.
so
Good fucking
wild.
job, you guys. 2 years. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank
Y'all
you
are
very
making
much.
moves.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. But the question I was gonna ask you, and I
Yes.
think this will be the last one because we're like already at an hour, believe it or not.
Oh wow. We
Isn't that crazy?
yapping.
We're yapping.
We yapping
And
over
we
here.
can go for a whole other hour.
For
That's
real,
the-
for real.
That's the craziest
Wow.
part.
I love it.
But I was gonna ask you, what do you think about, and like, what would be your advice about natural followers versus buying followers?
Oh, natural all the way.
Yeah.
Buying isn't going to do anything for you.
I agree with that.
Because buying, they're not real people, right? So I say organic. It's going to take a while, right? Organic is like one of the hardest things. There's organic marketing, but there's still a way to organically do that. And I say boost posts, spend that $60 a week on a post, boost that shit, and you'll see those real followers come in because they're seeing the video that they like. Right? True. When you buy the followers, you screw yourself over in a couple ways. The algorithm starts to actually like devalue your content. So it stops showing your content because it's saying you have all these followers, but you have not the same amount of likes and not the same amount of comments. So something must be off here.
Right.
And I don't know exactly how that algo thinks, you know, but we like to think that we know what's in her mind, but I think that it just comes down to that is like organic is where it's at. And girl, I'm like organic is hard. No, every time I gain 20 followers, I'm losing 5. And that's just the name of the game. Yeah. Right? So the moment that I started boosting my posts, I started to see a huge difference in people following me for the posts that I posted. Nice. And it's usually my social media little like big like sis manager tips. Thank you. And I'll just boost those. And then people are like, oh, that's adding value. Okay, Bob, I'm going to go follow her.
Yeah.
So I say never buy the followers. It's you're just wasting money.
Yeah. I was going to say because like, it's so funny because I look at a lot of people's pages all the time because like people will ask to be on here and you know what I'm saying? Or we'll just ask to like collab or whatever. And I do look, and I'm also always looking for people to interview or like, you know, people who have cool things coming up, you know, whatever the case may be. And you can like from someone who just knows social media, like we can look at a page and be like, oh, this is all bot. Yeah. This is not real. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not organic at all. How you have 17,000 followers, which isn't like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, insanely crazy, but how do you have 17,000 followers and 20 likes on every post? You know
and like one comment from your mother. Yeah. Literally. Like. No, totally. And I think that also says a lot, especially when you're looking at these people for partnerships, collaborations. I think that says a lot about that person too, which, you know, to each his own. Right. But I think organic's the way to go because then organic, you're truly building that loyal following of people who are following you because they love the content. They're following you because they want to save it. They want to share it. They're actually engaging with it. The bots, they don't even like your shit. Like they're just there to follow and just watch. Like those are haters actually. So you're buying haters when you buy followers. That's really what it comes down to. So organic over all things. And I get it. It's hard, but that's the name of the game. And that's why there's people like us, like me, so that if you don't want to deal with all that shit, I got you. Right. You know? Right. So.
Yeah, literally. And like what you do offer is such a valuable service too, because like you said, there's so many people who just don't want to do it. They're just like, yo, this is a lot of work.
It's hard.
Realize, first of all, people will doubt it and then they try to do it themselves and they're like, how the fuck?
It's hard. You know what I'm saying? That's why like influencers and content creators, like, yeah, you're not working a 9 to 5 or like slaving away at like a blue collar job, you know, but it's hard fucking work. Like
you're still working.
You are on. Your customer service voice is on. You are like getting, and especially for girls, it's like for my man, for BG to make content, it's so easy. He like throws on a hat and like, what's up guys? Listen to my new single. And I'm like, okay, glasses on, lipstick, like perfume, even though they can't smell me, you know, it's a whole thing. So I get it. But, you know, if you're a solo creator and you don't want to do that, then find a social media manager, find somebody that is within your budget. But if you're truly trying to market yourself and if you're truly trying to launch yourself and get eyes to see you, you have to be serious about it. You have to be serious about hiring somebody or learning how to do it on your own if you don't have the budget. 100%. You know, like there's a price to pay, whichever option you take, but that's the price to pay to get yourself viral or get like, you know, yourself out there. So social media, man, you love it and you hate it.
Yeah. And then, okay, I know I had said the last one was going to be the last question, but this will be the last question. What is your advice for like people who do end up having like a video go viral or like, you know, something just like kind of pop off? How should most people like, because what happens to a lot of people is me, that happened to me kind of kind of, but in COVID, I had like a crazy viral like TikTok, and then I you know what happened? I stopped posting after the world opened up again. Stop posting. If I wouldn't have stopped posting, we'd be having a different conversation right now. But
our studio would be in the penthouse in Miami.
But what would your advice to people who do go viral or have that moment? How do you capitalize off of that afterwards and continue that momentum? Because a lot of people have that viral moment and then nothing else afterwards.
It's funny you ask, because I'm actually about to post a video about that. I think going viral is always going to be like not on. I mean, we want it to happen, but it's never on our bingo card, right? So I always
it's on the thing you put the least amount of effort into that you didn't even like,
which pisses me the fuck off, honestly. Like I be working and curating content, and then it's like the dumbest shit that goes viral. I'm like, why do we even try? But yeah, so I think that yes, you kind of hit it on the head, the consistency, but also, you know, you could also be going viral for something that doesn't even match your niche. And that's where it gets a little bit frustrating, because people only want to see you for that one viral video. So that's why I think it's important. And listen, if you just want to post on TikTok and just like humor, funny, you know, down to earth, relatable, you got to keep up with that though. So I think that, I mean, it's everybody's perfect world that, you know, the videos that we try hard on goes viral. But that's why it's so important, like you said, consistency, but then to really like figure out your niches, your content pillars, so that in hopes that if anything goes viral, it's on what you bring to the table. Right? God forbid I go viral for my dog and it's like, I'm not a vet.
You're like, I guess my page is just my dog page.
Which honestly, you better make that money, boy. But yeah, I think you hit it on the head. And you know, I'm gonna make a video, so go see me in about a week. But you know, it's staying consistent, knowing your niches and your content pillars, so that when you do go viral, you have more to add to that. Listen, though, like the people want what they want, and if it's some stupid video and you go viral, oh well. But just make sure that you have a plan of action. So I think it's important to have a little plan of action of like, okay, if I do go viral, what are my next steps? What are my orders of operations? Make a business. That's what I always say. It may be stupid, but like make a business off of the virality. If it's like a little, how do you say, slogan or like words or like something funny, make merch, make t-shirts, make hats, you know, try to let that go elongate as long as you can, because you never know. I also, during COVID, I also went viral on TikTok about, it was some stupid little dancing TikTok, which I never went viral for it, because now the followers that I did, well, when I was trying to build up my TikTok, the followers that I did have on it, they didn't care. Because they just wanted to see my dancing. They didn't care for the you know, stuff that I was really trying to post. So you hit it on the head, consistency. It sucks though, because we never know. It's like a gamble. You know, you post so much and then you're like, fuck it, I'm going to post my dog, and then let's go viral. So
you're like, wait. That's hilarious. Well, go ahead and make sure you tell them where to find you at. Check her out. Go ahead. Tell the people.
Yes. So you can follow me Instagram and TikTok, Ella Estrella. Ella with one L, Estrella with two L's and two A's. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Definitely. I'm also going to be starting a YouTube too. So I'm going to be like deep diving into the topics that you see me posting on Instagram, but getting deep into it.
Nice. Okay.
We got some mini courses coming out and stuff. Yay. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
So exciting. Make sure you guys go check her out. Make sure you follow her, like her stuff, comment on her stuff, interact, engage. And as always, baby, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at powerfulmind.official. And as always, baby, we will see you next Tuesday. Peace.